All right, wouldn't it be nice when you're out in the field if you had a way to charge your camera batteries the same way you do your AirPods? Well, luckily now there is a way to get away and do that. And that is thanks to this. This is the Llano Camera Battery Charging Case. And this essentially works like an AirPod charger for your camera batteries when you're out in the field. Oh, hey, and do me a favor, if you find this video useful in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It is so hard to keep a YouTube channel going these days, and your subscriptions are the only thing that keep this channel going. Now, because I am a Canon user, I am looking today at the Canon LP-E6 and H version of this, but Llano does make different versions for a lot of different camera manufacturers out there, so if you're Sony, Nikon, whatever, take a look, you'll probably be able to find a version that works for your camera. Now, the Llano Camera Battery Charging Case serves two major functions that I just talked about. The first is, you can use this as a traditional camera charger. That basically means you can plug it right in a wall and charge your batteries for it. But it's a second feature that I think really kind of sets it apart, and that is that it has this internal battery built into the body here that allows you to charge your camera batteries when you're out in the field. Now, just to kind of go over the two ways of working it, it's a pretty simple and straightforward device. The first thing is, if you look here, it's actually got two USB-C ports here on the side. And if you plug this in, it'll charge both the internal battery inside this thing and whatever batteries you put in there. So it'll do both at the same time. Now, the way to function this thing, it's pretty straightforward. It's not that hard. You basically have a flip top here at the top. You can do two batteries at once. You just slip them right in there, flip it, close it, and it is good to go. Now, if you do have this plugged in as like a traditional wall charger, once you slip your batteries in there and close the lid, it's going to instantly start charging your batteries. It's when you're in the field that makes this more interesting, and that's what I'll kind of focus about, is kind of removing this from the wall and how it charges in the field. Now, when you first put it in there, the first thing you're going to notice is nothing happens right away, and that's a kind of a power safety thing. If you want to start charging in the field, you need to hit the power button. So if I hit the power button, you'll see an indicator come on, and what it's going to show you, it's going to show you in a big number what my internal battery level is, and then it's going to have two indicators on the side that show you what you're charging the batteries. And you can see you got this blinking light here, and it basically is in quarter increments. So 25, 50, 75, 100% lets you know what you're doing. So it's kind of a nice way to go out in the field and see what your battery status is at any given point. Now, if for some reason you want to stop charging, you just hit the power button again, and it'll stop charging in the field. So it gives you a lot of freedom in how you want to go about and, figure out how to get these batteries ready to go. And of course, when you're out in the field, the best part about it, because it does have that internal battery, is you just have to remember there's no cords, there's no cables. You can literally be in the middle of nowhere and you're out charging two batteries at once, which I find very, very indispensable, especially as someone that's a Canon user that has Canon R5C. It's great having this ability to be out anywhere and charge your battery in the car, in the middle of the field, you name it. I love having that ability. Now, whenever I talk about any product, I do like to talk about what I would consider rooms for improvement. And while this is pretty much does exactly what you'd want it to do, it's power on the go for your camera batteries, one thing I do think you should be aware about is the fact that it is a little bit big. And this is not something you're going to easily slip right in your pocket. You are going to have to basically accommodate in your bag some size for it just to take in the size of it. And just to kind of give you a size comparison, I have a traditional Canon LP-E6 battery charger here. And remember, you can get two batteries in here. So if you take, I'm going to take two of these right here. If I take two Canon LP-E6 charging batteries and put them right here beside this little Llano, you're going to see it's almost the exact same size. So it's basically, it's a little bit thicker, but it's about the same size-wise. So I think when it comes down to your camera bag, it pretty much comes out even. But you do need to be aware, if you're going to be packing this, just make sure you set aside room in your bag, or maybe camera vest or what you have, just to make sure you accommodate that for this thing. The only other thing I would say that I think you should be aware of is how to basically eject your batteries in here. Now, it's pretty simple to put the batteries in, but I did find I've got pretty small fingers, but you can get the batteries out with it, but sometimes I found it was just a little hard, especially if you're coming from the top. It's a little bit hard to get in there. So I found the best way is just to kind of tip them over and do that. But you have to be a little careful, because sometimes I felt when you're bringing it out, you could maybe have a battery drop on the ground. So just be careful of that. My way I found to do it the best is that if I close it, if I opened it on the side, it was much easier to pull it out that way than if I tried to do it top down. But that is something that I think you should be aware of, just because, you know, you don't want to tip it over on the thing and maybe drop a battery, potentially damage a battery. So it is just one other thing to be aware of. But all things considered, this is just one of those things that if you have Canon batteries, or honestly any type of camera, I just think it's going to be a great thing to have in the field. I know this is definitely going in my kit because of just how useful it is. And I love how the screen is so easy to figure out exactly what the status is of my battery power in the field. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me any notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.